Welcome to a new episode of Routes Through Pokemon Adventures. I'm Sherlock.
And I'm Ruby.
And together we are a father-daughter duo journeying through the mainline series of Pokemon games, starting with Red, Blue, Yellow, and going to wherever the series ends up. We also journey through the anime and manga, and last week we covered our journey to the 5th and 6th gyms of the Johto region, and so we now have a lot of anime ahead of us. So today we will just be covering 8 episodes of the Pokemon anime. Starting with episode 185, or season 4, episode 26, and going all the way to episode 192, or season 4, episode 33. But before we dive into all that, let's go ahead and catch up to what's going on in our lives now. How are things going for you, Ruby?
Well, we all recently did Community Day with Sprigatito. I've gotten like 3 or 4 shinies, I think.
That's right. And I don't think I got any shinies until last hour because we didn't leave to go anywhere until then.
No, you at least had 1.
Oh, you're right. I think I got 1 shiny before we took off.
And a perfect Sprigatito.
Oh, I did get a perfect Sprigatito. I was really excited about that one. And I like the color of the shiny Sprigatito. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's nice. I particularly like the kind of violet-colored eyes.
I had caught like 3 shiny Sprigatitos, and then we had one of my little brothers with us, and he was not catching any shiny. So I took the phone and I was clicking on the Sprigatito for him.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I definitely caught enough to be able to trade with the family if they wanted some. Plus, having one in each evolution and one to send home. Another thing in Pokemon Go that I'm really excited about is, and I know Rosella is as well. So yeah, in like about a week, I think Rookidee finally makes its way into the game. We'll be even more excited when Shiny shows up.
I'll catch a shiny Rookidee before any of you.
Probably. Seems how it always goes. I think we're either in the middle of or maybe wrapped up Fashion Week or something, so I made sure to catch all those fancy Pokemon with their hats and things. And then, so besides Pokemon Go, we've been watching plenty of anime, obviously, trying to catch up to the gyms. I got plenty more to go. Been leveling up Pokemon a little bit in the middle there, though, so that's been good. And I learned something interesting. I know my Bayleaf leveled up, and I was pretty sure it was like level 32 when it leveled up. Or evolved, I mean.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so like 32 is when we get our final form of our starters. And then you said yours evolved shortly after mine, and I don't think we're at the same level I was, but at the time I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, okay. And now I know that you had to have been at level 30 when you did it.
Oh.
Because Croconaw evolves at level 30. Bayleaf, 32. And then, because then I was playing Crystal after that, trying to get my Quilava to evolve, and I hit 32, and I'm like, well, why didn't you evolve? Apparently it's 36. And so in my investigation of that, I also learned that at level 14, Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava, and at level 16, Chikorita evolves into Bayleaf, and at level 18, Totodile evolves into Croconaw. So the Fire Starter evolves to its final form at a highest level out of all of them, but it evolves into its second stage at the lowest level out of all of them. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was interesting.
That is interesting.
But I do finally have a Typhlosion, because I've been leveling things up. Anyway, so that's Pokemon stuff. There's a new season of Marvel Rivals that's been fun to journey in. Besides that, I'm back to work, so a little less free time for some things. And we have a lot more anime to watch, you and I, so yeah, I think that's all I got going on right now. Then let's go ahead and jump into these episodes. Alright, our first episode that we're covering is 185, or Season 4, Episode 26, Troubles Brewing, or Ibui go Shima Ochakai de Batoru, or The 5 Sisters of Ibui, Battle at the Tea Ceremony. Oh, Ochakai. Ocha is tea.
3 exclamation points.
And Batoru is battle, so Ochakai must be like tea ceremony then. De, I'm guessing, is kind of like an at. And Ibui is Ifui, I'm sure. Go Shima. Go is 5. Shima must be the sisters. Getting better at this all the time, I think. But anyway, as you can all probably tell, we will have a new number 1 on our rankings, because this one's all about Eevee. Okay, maybe that might not be the case on our rankings, but still, very excited about an Eevee episode. So, we have another episode that continues in Ecruteak City, just like what happened with Goldenrod. After the gyms, we had one more episode in Goldenrod. And here we meet up with 5 sisters. But before that, the gang is trying to decide which direction to travel, as they are about the same distance from Olivine and Mahogany Town, which we also noted, because we did go to Mahogany Town first, just so we could go to the Lake of Rage.
We should have fought their gym.
But I do think it's cool that they have that in the anime as well, that we could go either way. The gang sees a poster for an old-fashioned tea ceremony, and Ash thinks it looks boring. But Misty always wanted to participate in one. Which I thought was fun, because I have also always wanted to participate in one that's around here, but I always forget about it when the sign-ups are around, and then it's too late.
Yeah, which is so rude, because I want to go too.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday you'll remember.
So then, an Eevee enters the picture! Which means we get a mark on our evolution tally. And then a young girl shows up, and she owns the Eevee, and her name is Sakura. She also knows where to find the tea ceremony and says her sisters put it on, so she can lead the gang there. And you know what are worn for the traditional tea ceremonies?
Isn't it like a kimono or something?
Yeah, kimono! So we have the kimono girls, because you know what they all have as well? Evolutions. So, we have our kimono girls, and when Brock meets the first sister, he goes head over heels for her. And then he ends up meeting another one, and is in love with that one too. And this happens with the remaining 2 as well. The last one has Misty get back to her babysitting Brock role, as she has to drag him off by his nose. Then the girls all show up together, and Brock and the gang all find out that they're all Sakura's sisters. Brock is trying to decide how to choose, and is under the delusion that they all want him as much as he wants them. Ash says he's half right. So then the older sisters are stunned that the gang has never heard of the 4 beautiful tea ceremony girls before, and Sakura chimes in, asking what they mean by 4, because she says she's a tea ceremony girl too, and they agree, just not beautiful.
Oof.
And Ash points out that this is similar to Misty with her sisters.
I mean...
Because she has 3 beautiful older sisters, suggesting that Misty is not beautiful. Misty and Sakura bond over that fact that they are similar in a lot of ways with the older sisters. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are not having fun because they thought they were going to a tea party, not a boring tea ceremony. And they're dressed pretty funny for it, too. They end up stealing snacks and causing more trouble. So the gang show up, and so Team Rocket launch into their motto, which is amusingly muffled by their full mouths because they've been eating the snacks. So they just say the normal motto, but it's all... And then Jessie sends in Arbok, and the 4 older sisters send out Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Umbreon. So 4 more evolutions. We're only missing Espeon. Which is interesting because we still have not seen Espeon in the anime. We've seen Umbreon before.
Interesting. But it suggests that her Eevee will evolve into Espeon one day.
Someday. Which is cool because the naming trick for Espeon and Umbreon come from the sisters here. Sakura, if you name your Eevee Sakura, it becomes Espeon. And if you name it Tomeo, I think that's the name, then it becomes Umbreon, and she's the sister. They mention her name at one point in the episode, and she brings out her Umbreon.
Just like the brothers from the first season.
Exactly like that. You name them the 3 brothers' names, then you can get those 3 Pokemon. So Eevee gets beat up in the battle, and so Ash and Misty jump in, and then Team Rocket is sent blasting off again! Ding! Afterward, Sakura and Misty are chatting, and Sakura gets the idea of leaving like Misty did because she wants to enter the Johto League. So she asks Misty if she can travel with them. And then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon's leaves are able to check the temperature. After a dance performance that Sakura struggles with, she asks her sisters if she can leave with Ash and Co. the gang try and help. Because the sisters are a little reluctant. They're like, if you can't even control your umbrella during the performance, how can you control a Pokemon? So the sisters decide to take the gang on in a Pokemon battle before they agree to let Sakura travel with them. So for the battle, they decide that any 3 of the older sisters will battle one-on-one with any 3 of the gang, and Sakura. The first sister to step up is the one with Vaporeon, and Ash is about to go in, which is the right move since he has Bulbasaur, Chikorita, and Pikachu, who could all just take care of the Vaporeon. But before he can, Misty butts in because it's a water Pokemon, so of course it's gotta be a water battle.
That makes no sense.
And you know what happens? Vaporeon defeats her Poliwhirl. That's what you get, Misty. So then, Jolteon comes out and Ash jumps in with Pikachu. So we can have the same types again. But before the battle can get started this time, Team Rocket returns. And they come in with a trap with different cages for the different evolutions. Then we get a distracted Pokemon as Victory Bell is unleashed. And eats James, of course. Eevee is defeated by Victory Bell and put in a cage, and Sakura panics and turns to the gang to help her. As the battle goes on, James ends up being knocked into one of the cages, then Arbok, and then Victory Bell and Jessie are put into one cage together, so they're super cramped because they're not very big. And Meowth decides to just lock himself in a cage for his own protection after the battle does not seem to be going well. Then Umbreon uses like a cool like move where he just like kind of flashes through and breaks Eevee out the back of his cage, making Umbreon even cooler. And then Team Rocket is sent flying. This time they blast off again, or ding. Sakura recognizes that Ash and them are all better than her. Right away, we jump back into the Jolteon Pikachu battle, and Pikachu wins. The sisters know they need to win the next one, so that's when they send in Tomeo, which is the one with Umbreon, and the one that you with the naming trick then. But before the battle can begin, Sakura changes her mind because she realizes she is not ready, which the sisters also recognize, and are like, you have to keep turning to the gang for help, then your Eevee keeps getting beaten. So yeah, we knew you weren't ready, but we're glad that you realized that. You're growing up. Good job. And then they all say their goodbyes, and Ash and co decide to take the path that leads to Olivine City, because Olivine is at the beach. And who's that Pokemon? It's Chikorita.
And I was pretty sure she was not going to be going with, even as soon as they thought of it.
Oh, sure. Would have been cool to have another person, especially with an Eevee.
Yeah. Lots of evolutions.
Yes, so our tally, we have 5 evolutions, because we got Eevee and 4 of the current evolutions, just missing Espeon. We got a babysitting Brock, and we have a distracted Pokemon. Now to rank it. Did you want to go first, or should I?
I'll go first.
Alright. Trouble's Brewing. Where do you put it?
I think it goes pretty high. With all the evolutions. And the Kimono Girls, which match the game.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think it probably at least goes above the Trouble with Snubble.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Did you have any thoughts?
Oh, yeah, let's see. I don't want it above Wabubulooza just because I really love the whole Team Rocket turn in that one. Like, I felt there was a lot more interesting characterization and stuff in that one. But this one was a lot of fun with the cages getting all locked up and stuff. So yeah, it's either above or below a ghost of a chance, I think.
Let's put it above it.
All right. Well, then that brings us to our next episode. Season 4, episode 27. All That Glitters. Or Yamikarasu, Ubawareta, Baji. Or Yamikarasu, The Stolen Badges.
And they did 3 exclamation points. Everyone give them a hand.
Yay!
They've done so good. Let's see if they can do it for all 8 episodes.
Alright, so the Stolen Badges, Baji, however that's supposed to be said, is badges, I'm guessing. So Ubawareta is probably stolen badges. Which means Yamikarasu is the Pokemon in the episode.
Yep.
Do you remember who's in this one?
Yep.
Alright. The gang is camping out in the woods while Ash decides to polish his 4 badges. Ash claims the badges are safe with him and, well, that's all we need to hear to know that that's not going to be the case. As soon as he said that, we're like, something's going to happen to the badges.
Really, as soon as he had them out and polishing them, something was up.
This was just a couple episodes after earning them, so it's a good reminder that he has the 4 badges, so I could see that being the case. But yeah, setting them down and saying they're safe was definitely a solid, like, alright, they're in trouble. And to be sure for us to know that something bad is going to happen, we see 3 sets of glowing eyes lurking in a nearby bush right before the credits roll. Or the theme song starts, or whatever.
The credits roll makes it sound like the end of the episode.
It kind of does. The gang notices something in the bushes, and a tail pops out. And so, curious Togepi rushes over and tugs on one. When he rushes over, we get a possible Big Brother Pikachu moment, as Pikachu rushes over to look after Togepi, calling its name, Pee-Pee-Pee! I don't know, do you think he went off to make sure that Togepi was safe. Do you think that was a Big Brother moment?
Yeah, I think it could count.
Alright, count that then. Then, 3 Murkrow pop out. So that is probably our Yami Karasu.
And as soon as they pop out, Murkrow, crows, shiny things, badges being polished.
Well, that doesn't happen quite yet. So the trio of Murkrow act goofy and nice, and do even like a little singing, like a barbershop quartet, except there's only 3 of them.
And they dance.
Yes. And then, boom! They steal the badges. Ash sends in Noctowl to get his badges back, but then they use Mudslap. Noctowl chases, but Murkrow do crazy fast maneuvers, and Murkrow then get away. Ash and Co. go searching for them, and Brock sends Golbat out to look for them. Golbat leads the group to the Murkrow, and the 3 like playing with the shiny things in the sun. Murkrow looks like they're going to give the badges back, but then they take off and fly off laughing. Jerks. Oh, and earlier they had a warning from the Pokedex about how they like to lead travelers astray and things like that. They're like, oh, these ones seem nice, though. And then, of course, all the stealing happened. Golbat follows, and Murkrow knock him back. So Pikachu zaps them. The Murkrow fall, and Pikachu runs off to get them, but something pops out of a bush and grabs Pikachu. Misty mentions that this just isn't Ash's day, and Jessie responds with the beginning of an interesting intro.
But today is our day, so prepare for trouble.
And in honor of that, you can make it double. As Team Rocket fly off with Pikachu, Murkrow show up and try to steal from them. Earrings, belt buckle, Meowth's charm. But then they just pop the balloon, and it crashes down, freeing Pikachu. When Team Rocket climb out, Meowth and Jessie didn't lose anything, but the Murkrow have my bottle cap collection. Looks like they left some of Ash's badges, but they still have his latest, the Fog Badge. And James is also going after them for his bottle caps. James shoots out a net, which ends up catching a boulder, and the boulder comes crashing down and zooms off, taking them deeper into the woods with it. Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon's dance is a ritual to summon the sun. You know, you could argue that was Murkrow's thing. They would want to summon the sun so they can put their shiny things out there. And they danced earlier. It must be Murkrow. I'm calling it out. It's Murkrow. We come back to the Murkrow, loving all their shinies in their nest. We get flashbacks to all the badge wins, showing that Ash knows about teamwork, and that the badges belong to him and his Pokemon. Ash sneaks in and grabs his Fog Badge. The Murkrow attack him, and he drops the badge and falls back down the cliff.
Okay, I think he could have hung on to it.
I don't know. He might have lost an eye in the process if he did.
Maybe, I suppose.
Then the gang is trying to shine things like spoons and stuff to get the Murkrow to come after more shiny stuff.
Yeah, they get a whole plan up and everything.
Right, because it's going to lure them away from the nest.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Brock and Pineco are going to sneak over to the nest and get the Fog Badge. But Togepi doesn't let go of the spoon that he was holding, and so he gets pulled out of the bush, so the Murkrow figure out that it's a trap, and so the gang has to try to think of something else.
Because they obviously found Brock.
Yes, with Pineco exploding. So Ash decides to try Noctowl again. Noctowl lands in the group of Murkrow and then just stands there, doing absolutely nothing. He's perfectly still. And the Murkrow try and figure out what this is all about. They're very curious, and they're trying to do things to get him to move. including trying to, like, reflect sun off of one of their things onto Noctowl to, like, make him blink or something, I think. And a Murkrow finally brings the fog badge close, and then out of nowhere, Noctowl just snatches it right from the Murkrow and flies off. And the Murkrow's like, what the heck? I love the whole interaction, because the Murkrow are so curious, like, what the heck is this thing doing? And I just love Noctowl's ability to just stand there and let them fall into his trap of just standing there.
Because he's shiny too.
Because I do that with the kids sometimes.
What have you done?
I just stand there, or sit there, and ignore them. And they're like, because they want me to, like, chase them or something. And I just don't do anything until they get closer and closer, and then I launch my attack. Start putting heads through walls and stuff. No, I just tickle them.
Jeez, Dad. Who have you done this to?
All of you have done it too. I've even done it to you when you were little.
You put my head through a wall?
No, tickled you.
Yeah, I was asking whose heads you put through the wall.
No, I said I was just kidding about that.
I don't know. There's been oddly large holes in these walls lately.
Let's see. I know the one was dug out on your wall by your brother, but there's already holes there. The other one was cut through with a butter knife by a different brother. When I was growing up, I pushed my brother, like me and him were wrestling by the dishes just for fun, and one of us hit the wall and kind of put a hole in it. But it wasn't our head that went through.
My sister wanted to make a hole in the wall, so she punched it and dented it. And I told her, don't do it. Mom and Dad will be mad at you. So she stopped.
No, that was wise of her.
But there's still a dent in her wall.
Well, the dent's okay.
She's like, now we can talk to each other through our bedrooms. And I'm like, no, let's not do that.
So anyway, Noctowl flies off. The Murkrow follow it. But then they all get blasted to the ground by a giant busted bot that looks like a Murkrow. And it's armed with powerful fans, which is what blows them all down. And then we get a second interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble. This is one of our traps.
Make it double. I still want my caps. Alright. And then Meowth hurries it along saying, they know the rest. So we don't even get the whole motto. We just get an interesting intro.
Would that be an irritating interruption?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do you think?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
I don't think we've called it an interruption when they've done it before. When Meowth's like just hurried it along before. Because he did that in the dojo one too, with the Hitmonlee and Hitmontop.
Oh.
When they came back for the second time, he just kind of said, etc., etc.
Oh.
Listeners, weigh in. We can't decide. If it is, I'll go back and edit all that stuff. Get the list all perfect. This is why we have not gone back through the first season yet, because we're still hashing things out. Alright. So Team Rocket uses their bot to vacuum all the shinies out of the nest. The Murkrow get blown around and Ash catches them, saving them. And then they're all in trouble from a beak attack from the busted bot. Noctowl flies in and protects the Murkrow. So Team Rocket snatches Pikachu, and Noctowl launches into flight to deal with Team Rocket, and the Murkrow follow suit. The 4 flying Pokemon work together to free Pikachu and destroy the bot. So they work together to free Pikachu and destroy the bot. Then Pikachu zaps the bot, and it explodes, sending Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! All the shinies fall out of the sky, and Pikachu gets the fog badge back. Then the gang say goodbye to the Murkrow, and they continue on their journey. And our Who's That Pokemon? It's Blossom. And our tallies are Big Brother Pikachu, 2 interesting intro, and a busted bot with the Mega Murkrow Mark V, I think is what they called it. Now to rank it. Alright, all that glitters. It was kind of fun. It was a little obnoxious how much they were terrible at getting their badges back, but Noctowl was fantastic. And I really love Noctowl in this show. Like, they show him being super intelligent a lot of times, and like his way of just like letting the Murkrow come to him with the badge, and the way he led the Murkrow to help defeat Team Rocket again, which isn't the first time that he had to defeat a flying robot version of... Like, last time it was a version of himself, I think. This time it was a version of the Murkrow. But, like, because you remember, he led, like, Ash's Pokemon to help deal with that last one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do really like that. Though that ticks it up a bit. But otherwise, I mean, it was just a silly episode. It wasn't bad, that's for sure. So, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe in the Trouble with Snubble, Hassle in the Castle, Better Pill to Swallow range. Any opinions there, Ruby?
Which one was a better pill to swallow?
That's the Shuckle. And that was a very silly episode with the wiggly Shuckle and they're kind of creepy.
Maybe right under that?
Okay. Our next episode is Season 4, Episode 28. The Light Fantastic. Or Teppo no Sora. And Sora is sky, I remember that.
They only put in one exclamation point. I thought they were going to do good this time.
Well, it's because it's just Teppo's sky, so at most they'd have like 2 exclamation points. But it seems they like to have like 1 for the first sentence and 2 for the next. And if there's only 1 sentence, only 1 exclamation point. So do we think Teppo is the Pokemon here then?
Probably.
Seems weird that it would be their sky, but whatever. Or maybe that's the name of the guy, the artist.
Oh, it's this one. Oh.
I wonder if it's the name of the sketch guy.
Could be Rainbow Sky.
Except
Light
that
sky?
no, because they would have translated that in the English part. It wouldn't be Teppo's sky. It would if it was rainbow. Like Teppo means rainbow, they would just write rainbow sky.
Oh.
So Teppo stays untranslated, which means it's the name of something. So it's either the Pokemon or the sketch guy.
Yep.
Alright, so the gang is wandering through a very arid area, and even the river is dried up. They are dying of thirst. And so are Team Rocket. And then there's some colorful light somewhere in the distance. Apparently the light is over Remoraid Mountain. So if Teppo is the Pokemon, I'm guessing it's Remoraid.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense for Remoraid Sky.
It does seem kind of weird, but who knows? Brock discovers there is a nearby Pokemon Center, and so they head there. Jessie thinks they are headed to the light because maybe it's something worth something. So they're going to go to the light. But then the light vanishes. Still, Jessie is going to lead them there. And Team Rocket, the rest of them, they're like, ugh. Then the gang come upon the ruins of an ancient city that was built from giant trees that were cut down. And then they see a carving of a Pokemon, but Nurse Joy says that it is a fossil, not a carving. And who's that Pokemon? It's Remoraid. Misty knows about them from watching a documentary on Pokemon TV. Joy says the Remoraid have not been there for centuries, but they couldn't survive without all the water. The colossal tree people that lived there were called Remoraidians because they loved the Remoraid. Joy explains how lush the place used to be with trees and rivers, which is why the Remoraidians chose there to live. But they cut all the trees, and so everything dried up, and they had to leave the city. Joy found some pretty pink flowers around there, which is surprising since nothing seems to grow there. Brock tries to flirt with Joy, but Misty plows him over and introduces herself instead. And so, I know I asked you before whether that was a babysitting Brock moment or not, and you seem to think it was, because she still did take over, like, knock him out from his flirting, even though she had some ulterior motives as well.
Yeah, I think it is.
So then the gang end up at the Pokemon Center, enjoy some fresh water, and they're like, wait, how do you have water? But then they learn that there is an underground lake beneath the Pokemon Center, and that's where they get their water from. And apparently, the riverbed in front of the Pokemon Center, every dozen years or so, flows with water, and some of that water fills up the underground lake for them.
When we were watching it, I was like, in the show, it's probably that day, like, next day for 12 years of water.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That the day is going to happen now because they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Because it's just a coincidence.
My thought was it's probably tied to the lights. So, of course, it's going to happen now because the lights are going now, too.
Yep, but of course the lights were going when they were passing by.
Well, yes, but in their defense, the reason they showed up at this particular Pokemon Center might be because of the lights, because the lights attracted their attention.
No, because Brock said there was a Pokemon Center nearby.
Well, that's true. So then an old dude shows up, and his name is Gango, as in, like, Van Gogh. Have you heard of Van Gogh?
No, you probably told me about him when we watched it.
He's a very famous painter. Or was a very famous.
Was he like the weird one your grandma told me about? Like, where he just puts splatter on things? He calls
Van Gogh? No. I don't think so.
Did he actually make paintings of things?
He did cut his own ear off, though.
Why?
I don't know. I never learned that much about him. I just know about that fact. Or supposed fact.
I'm gonna look that up later.
Okay. Anyway, this old man explains that he was a young man when he first saw the rainbow lights, and so he comes to the center to sketch the lights. But he always has trouble, and so he returns every 12 years, which, I mean, come on, people. 12 years, water, 12 years, lights. Make the connection, people. To try again, because they show up around the time the water flows. He thought his problem was not enough color variations in his crayons. Now he has 251. You know, the same as the amount of Pokemon in the video games at this point.
And Misty even mentions that.
Yep.
A crayon for each Pokemon.
Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon comes to a complete stop when the sun sets. Gango learns that the gang saw the lights as well, and so he is very curious about that. They thought that it was over Remoraid Mountain, and Gango watches from the center, and so Joy looks over a map and figures out the lights must be over Remoraid Lake because of the angles from where they were and saw. You know, she triangulated it. But, of course, Remoraid Lake is not really a lake anymore because it's all dried up, and there are fossilized Remoraid there, just like the fossilized Remoraid they saw before. Now, here's an interesting note I want to bring up. Because I like to look up some of the trivia for these episodes to see if there's anything in particular. You know that they mentioned that it looked like a carving at first, right? In the ruins?
Yeah.
And I noticed, when Joy corrects them, I'm like, that looks really big for a Remoraid. And sure enough, when we see Remoraid later, they're not nearly as big as the quote-unquote fossilized remains of a Remoraid. Well, in the Japanese version, they are carvings. Joy does not change, like... I don't know how the conversation goes. I don't know if they think it's a fossil and she corrects them that as a carving, or if they always say it's a carving and Joy says something completely different. I have no idea, but they're carvings, so I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, there is a legend about the lake that the Remoraid there are harder to catch than other Pokemon, or other Remoraid. Then some archaeologists show up with a mummified Meowth and say they have come to answer that mystery. The lights return, and so Gango tries to make a sketch quickly, but he has too many crayons, and Gango fails.
Well, he can't decide. Even start.
It's because he couldn't decide which one to start with.
Just, draw one.
But now everyone is going to go to the lake. Gango...
Because the lights might be there.
Yes, except for Joy, I think. I think Joy stays behind. But Gango, the gang, and, the archaeologists who are actually Team Rocket. In case you didn't catch on to that.
Well, they drank a bunch of the water because they were so thirsty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They even gave some to their mummified Meowth. James has an amusing line about it being as dry as a Dratini. Now, I thought this was weird because Dratini seem to be in the water when we see them, right? So they're not really dry. But Dratini sounds like martini, and martinis are known as a dry drink, even though it's an alcohol. So, I mean, it's liquid, so it's not, dry. But dry as a description for some alcohols, and that would be a martini. So I think that's where the joke comes from. So now James is a drinker. When they get there, they all find a large tower of ice. They don't know it's ice at first. I think maybe it's some kind of crystal or whatever. And Team Rocket gets excited about it, but when they learn that it's ice, they're like, oh, well, there's nothing actually worth anything here, so we can't get rich from that, so let's steal Pikachu. The gang, of course, wonder who these archaeologists are that are planning to steal Pikachu, and we get our interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, you know our names.
Hers is Jessie, and mine is James. Jessie starts a battle, but Gango gets in the way of the gang because they were going to fight back, and he pulls out a Pokeball and unleashes Venusaur.
Yeah, because he mentioned earlier he used to be a Pokemon trainer, but ever since he saw the lights, it's been his life mission.
I don't know if he mentioned that earlier. I thought it was after this, but yes, he does. That is what he explains. The lights took him from being the life of a trainer.
Yeah, well, I thought he said it when he was like, when I was a young man, I saw the lights. I think he was talked about it.
That could be. Either way, Venusaur solar beams Team Rocket, and they go flying away. Then the sun comes out, because they were there when it was night, by the time they got to this lake. And now the sun's coming up, and the lake bursts forth with water from underground, and Remoraid pop up with it. And they are all using water gun and ice beam to make the pillar of ice. So it, grows bigger again. And the lake is filled with water. And Misty tries to catch one of the Remoraid because, water Pokemon. But they all work together to protect one another, and so they don't get caught in the thrown Pokeball. And so then they're all like, oh, that's why they're hard to catch, because they work together to stop people from catching them. But then they're all caught anyway, because a net grabs them. Sure, a Pokeball can't do it, but a net can. And it's, of course, the return of Team Rocket. Ash wants to launch into saving them, but Gango tells them all just to not worry about it, because the Remoraid will probably be able to handle this, too. And they do. And send Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! Ding! And with the sun out, the ice melts, and the colors return. So now we know the source of the colors in the sky.
Not the whole thing melts, just a little bit.
A lot of it does. Oh. And eventually it sends all the water rushing down the river, which solves the mystery of Joy's underground lake as well. The Remoraid actually never left after the Remoraidians destroyed the land. Over all that time, they'd been living underground. And they flow down the river that they create and collect more water and return so that they can do it all over again, increasing water in the area every 12 years or so. Gango is happy to know where it comes from, and that's all he needs. He doesn't need to draw it anymore.
Where the light comes from.
Yes, the light. And everyone heads back out on their journey. And our who's that Pokemon? It's Sunflora. And our tallies are 1 babysitting Brock and 1 interesting intro. Now to rank it.
It was a good episode. I don't know, it wasn't great, but it was good. I think it probably goes at least under a better pill to swallow. And at least above a hot water battle.
Oh, you think it's better than the 3 Johto Pokemon's cave adventure with the hot springs?
Oh wait, that was that one?
Yep.
I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, maybe it's not better than that. Probably better than at least Beauty and the Breeder.
Oh, okay.
So better than Beauty and the Breeder and worse than a better pill to swallow. So maybe right under a hot water battle? I don't know.
I'd put it pretty low on my list, honestly. I'd probably even go lower than where you would it. So if you want it above Beauty and the Breeder, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good.
It wasn't a bad episode or anything, but it just didn't really grip me, I guess. And there wasn't a ton of stuff that was super funny about it either.
No, not really.
It just didn't have a lot to offer for me. Alright. So then our next one is Season 4, Episode 29. UnBEARable. With bear all capitalized. Or, Himeguma no Himitsu.
Only 1 exclamation point. They are really sucking this time.
Again, 1 sentence.
Still,
or
they could be 3 exclamation points at the end.
Or, Himeguma's Secrets. And Himeguma, Guma as in Kuma, as in bear. So, we've already dealt with Ursaring before. I forget what they were called, but I think it had Guma in it as well. And this is Teddy Ursa. Alright, so, this one definitely had a lot more to offer than the last episode, in my opinion. Definitely got more of a reaction from me. The gang is walking through the woods, and Misty is creeped out and is wondering if it is safe.
They're even lost in the woods.
Been a bit, huh?
Yes.
Brock says it isn't safe because there are scary Pokemon mentioned in the guide for that area. And then a Spinarak shows up and Misty freaks, and Brock says those aren't scary. Team Rocket is exhausted from working all day digging gravel pits or something, trying to make money. Then they find a cornfield and Jessie gets an idea. Meanwhile, the gang finds an empty shack and decides to stay the night there. But something with glowing red eyes watches from the bushes. There, in the bushes.
I was wondering if you were going to say it.
Then, that night, something walks around the building and slips in when the gang investigate a noise outside. Turns out it's a cute and adorable Teddy Ursa.
I know it's the scary beast. There's something wrong with this Teddy Ursa.
But it's not so scary. It's just a Teddy Ursa.
I don't trust it.
Misty gets ready to catch it, but it cries at the thought of being caught, so she doesn't. Ash mentions that it knows how to turn on the charm, and Brock says he didn't know charm attacks can work on humans, because charm is a move in the games. But then again, Jigglypuff singing works on humans, so...
Yeah.
The next morning, Misty is upset because Psyduck let himself out again and ate both the apples she was keeping in her backpack. And we know this because Psyduck is holding a couple of the apple cores. Psyduck seems very confused, which is not unusual.
I still don't think it was Saya.
Then
Teddy Ursa.
Then, when Misty is hugging Teddy Ursa, we see a very evil / mischievous look on its face.
See, I told you all.
Then we cut to Team Rocket selling hot corn on the cob. Meowth brings in even more corn, and James thinks that Mother Nature is doing all the growing, and they are reaping all the benefits. James and Jessie put on shades to make sure that the twerps don't recognize them when they show up, like they would ever recognize them. And then the gang and Teddy Ursa all get some corn, and Jessie is infatuated with Teddy Ursa as well and gives one corn away for free. Teddy Ursa notices their cart full of corn and seems to have an idea. Then the gang finds a small body of water that looks like a great place to stop for lunch. Brock says they have some great food too, and Teddy Ursa notices all this and grins evilly. Brock and Misty have to get firewood, and so Teddy Ursa takes the chance to eat the ham. Totodile tries to stop him, and when Misty and Brock are about to show up, Teddy gives Totodile the wrapper and starts crying. Misty is sure Totodile did something to her cute little Teddy Ursa. So then they're like, oh, the ham's gone. Totodile must have ate it, and Teddy must have saw it happen, and that's why Teddy started crying.
And she asked Teddy Ursa, and Teddy Ursa agreed.
Of course. Ash isn't sure Totodile is the one who did it. And Toto tries to say that Teddy did it, but Misty won't hear of it. Ash has to agree it does look suspicious with Totodile holding the wrapper. Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon needs up to 18 hours of sleep a day.
Snorlax? ?
Then, Ash and Pikachu are cooking something. Teddy steals bananas off the table, but before he can eat them, Misty asks where they are, and so he tries to ditch them with Togepi, who happens to be passing by. But Togepi just shoves the bananas back into Teddy's mouth gleefully, like having no idea what's going on. Togepi's like, oh, this is a fun game, I'll just shove it into your mouth. And it was so funny. That moment, I love that part of this episode so much. It was just so casual and hilarious.
Yeah.
And Teddy, so...
It's like Togepi just walking by, and then it seems like Teddy Ursa went, you want to play a game? Togepi's like, yes, I'll play.
It was just... Because, honestly, if Teddy Ursa managed to put it into Togepi's hands to make it look like Togepi was guilty, you knew that there was going to be a conflict inside Misty, because they're both too cute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just how Togepi doesn't even, isn't phased, doesn't have a clue, just simple, innocent, naive little Togepi.
Mm-hmm.
So then Teddy's mouth is full in the shape of a banana, because he has the bananas in there.
Yeah.
And so when Misty asks if Teddy has seen them, he just shakes his head. And then once she's gone, because she of course believes him, he swallows them. And he's very grumpy with Togepi, who's just delighted. Thought this was great fun. So then Brock brings back some groceries that include a string of sausages. Brock checks on Ash, which Misty was also going to talk to Ash because she thought maybe he had taken the bananas. And Teddy grabs the sausages and heads towards some bushes. Chikorita tries to stop him, but he just pushes right past her. Brock and Misty return to the table, and Brock offers to go back to the mart for some more bananas, and then sees the sausages are gone. Togepi points to the line of sausages that leads into some bushes. Chikorita's in the bushes with Teddy, yelling at the Teddy Ursa, who just continues to ignore her and keeps eating them. They almost leave his grip as something starts to tug on the other end, and we snap back and we see Brock is the one holding the other side, trying to get them out of the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And so Brock ends up sure that the thief is at the other end of the sausages and announces that out loud. So Teddy hears that and wraps the sausages around Chikorita and starts crying again after... Well, he also sticks the bitten end that he had right in Chikorita's mouth.
Yeah.
So, of course, when the gang show up, it looks like Chikorita was the one eating them.
Even though, wrapped around the neck, what the heck?
Well, if you're just running around getting crazy and getting into the food and stuff, I could see it.
Maybe.
Misty is sure Teddy was just trying to stop the other Pokemon stealing again, and Ash asks Chikorita if this is what happened. She denies it, and Ash does say that he has to admit it looks suspicious, so Chikorita cries and runs off. Ash and the gang leave Teddy behind, and because Ash is running off to go talk to his Pokemon, and he tells her he believes her, which works for Chikorita. It's like, hey, you say you didn't do it, you didn't do it. Totodile shows up and gets the gang to follow him back to the picnic area. where Bulbasaur is standing next to the backpack and Teddy is inside it, rummaging around. He comes out with bread and takes a big bite. The gang shout in dismay, which alerts Teddy, and he quickly shoves the bread into Bulbasaur's mouth, where they can all see him, and he tries to start crying again. But the gang just saw it all go down, so they do not believe anything, except for Misty, who still refuses to believe that Teddy Ursa could be so naughty. Of course, the boys don't fall for it, and Teddy gets mad, puts on Brock's backpack, and flees. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is pleased with their success selling corn, and then they see Teddy in their cart. It claims it couldn't handle being with the twerps anymore, as translated by Meowth, and is lonely, so it wants to be Jessie's Pokemon. It claims there is a nearby forest with some apples. While they think about that, Teddy steals the last 3 cobs that were going to be Team Rocket's lunch. Jessie doesn't care, though, because she has been charmed as well.
Hurry.
Then the corn farmer shows up, and so Team Rocket flees, because he wants payback for them stealing all his corn. The gang find a Pokemon Center and ask Joy about the Teddy, and she says there have been a lot of backpack thefts. Brock flirts, and Misty is babysitting Brock again with an ear tug. Joy explains that Teddy has been causing problems for a while, and something needs to be done to stop it. Misty apologizes to Ash's Pokemon for not believing them. And then we cut to Teddy Ursa, who gets caught in a net, and Team Rocket break into an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, Teddy Ursa.
Make it double. Things are going to get worser. And we get a Wobbuffet irritating interruption. Then Teddy cuts out of the net, so they battle him, but we get a Victory Bell distracted Pokemon when he comes out. And then Teddy Ursa is kicking their butts, and then uses Swift to pop the balloon, and Team Rocket is blasting off again with no ding. But I did like Team Rocket didn't battle the twerps this time.
The twerps didn't even know Team Rocket existed.
They didn't. Not a clue. Because their disguises worked. So instead, Teddy Ursa's the one who beats them. Now the gang shows up and see Teddy Ursa. Misty almost falls for the charm again. Then Ash and his Pokemon battle Teddy. Chikorita beats it, and Brock gets his backpack back. But then Teddy Ursa evolves and becomes Ursaring. The gang and Joy get scared and run away, which confuses the Ursaring, because he's used to people not running from him, because he's so cute. Or was. Talking with Joy, they decide that Ursaring can't charm and cuddle anyone now, so that might have fixed the problem that they were having with the woods, and the gang leave. And so at the very end, we get another shot of Team Rocket, who's cooking some popcorn, and that's all they have after giving all their money back to the farmer, since they had sold his corn. And then they get scared when an Ursaring shows up, but he's kind enough to them, and they think he's now their friend. And they all have a little dance, but then we see a zoom in of Ursaring's face, and he grins evilly at the end.
I think Ursaring tried to use charm on them, and they're like, "You want to be our friend?"
Yeah, they weren't quite charmed like before.
Yeah.
But they thought he was going to be their friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, and our Who's That Pokemon is not Snorlax, it's Abra. And our tally is Babysitting Brock, an interesting intro, irritating interruptions, distracted Pokemon, and an evolution. Always exciting to get those.
Mm-hmm.
Now to rank it. Alright, I hated this episode. There was a lot more for me here, and it was all bad. except for Togepi. Togepi shoving the bananas in Teddy Ursa's face was great. I hated this episode, though. I get very frustrated with episodes with characters like Teddy Ursa and people that buy into it. It's so annoying. I hated Teddy Ursa charming Misty, and Misty totally believing it at the drop of a hat, despite all the, being the new Pokemon around and present for every single theft that was taking place, when that stuff never happened before.
I didn't know you despised the episode so much.
I hate that kind of story. It wasn't a boring story, but it was just a very frustrating one. Now, was there fun stuff in there? Like the fact that Team Rocket never battled the gang and they got defeated. That was fun. And how they never recognized them. Obviously, like I said, the Togepi thing was very amusing to me. I was very happy when Daddy Ursa finally got caught in the act, but it took too long. So, while not a boring episode, it does not fill me with good feelings.
Oh my. Okay. I thought it was a pretty decent episode, actually.
So personally, I want to put it like... I want to put it under a Dairy Tale ending, whereas a Dairy Tale ending wasn't great. It wasn't frustrating.
Okay.
But I understand that it's just my own annoyance with certain character types and it wasn't necessarily a poorly told story. And again, Togepi's moment was just so perfect that it elevates it to some degree. So I'm willing to go up a little higher. So if you want it not last, you're gonna have to speak up.
I don't know. I don't care that much. It can go kind of wherever. The only thing was Togepi that was really fun. Everything else was okay.
Alright, it's last place then.
Okay. Now just wait. I'm gonna Master Ball it later.
Go for it. Waste your Master Ball on something stupid. Yeah, if you make that number 1 for the season, I'm going to question some other choices in your life or your decision-making skills. Especially since you love Wabupalooza so much. Which that one, like, I know you got really attached to your Quagsire one last season. Wabupalooza, though, like, there's certain aspects of that one that I'm like, hey, that's got some good stuff. I mean, I like the Quagsire one, just it wasn't as interesting character-wise. Alright, now we're hitting Season 4, Episode 30, Moving Pictures, or Kota Himanatsu no Nazo, or The Mystery of the Frozen Himanuts. The heck is a frozen Himanuts?
Hey, they had 2 exclamation points. They're getting better. Still.
Oh, that's true. It is only 1 sentence, but it has 2 exclamation points. Look at that.
Still some disappointment, but it's better than what they've been doing.
Alright, so the gang is walking through the woods and it is getting dark. And then they hear
You could even say they're lost in the woods at night.
And then they hear a camera shutter. They investigate and find Todd Snap in a rockin' reunion. We get a flashback to when they parted ways last time because they were going to go 2 different paths. There was a fork in the road. But this Todd Snap, he was the photographer that had the Aerodactyl picture, and he was around for that one time where they all tried to get, like, well, Ash and Team Rocket tried to get a badge that just lets them into the league because it was the only badge they needed or whatever, because they took a class thing. So he was there for that too, and then he was there for the first time we met Butch and Cassidy. In fact, his camera and his pictures were what helped them solve the crime. So he was there for 3 episodes, and guess what we get this time? 3 episodes of Todd Snap again. And so we will only be marking this first episode as a rockin' reunion, because he doesn't leave for the next, they're not being reunited multiple episodes.
Yeah.
Alright, so apparently he's been taking a lot of grass Pokemon pictures lately, but what he really wants is to get a shot of Articuno.
All this annoys me.
Oh, do we have an episode that annoys you now?
Everything about Articuno. Oh, we've never seen Articuno.
Oh, that part. Yes, because Ash wonders what it would be like if Articuno is really real. Which is ridiculous, because in Pokemon 2000, that was like the biggest danger during the whole getting the orbs back where they need to be. Articuno almost gets them. The whole sea is frozen from Articuno. Articuno was the king bird because the other 2 got caught for a bit. I mean, come on. Really real. I mean, even without that, he met Moltres, or he saw Moltres and saved his butt on the Indigo Plateau when he almost got fried to death by Team Rocket. So if Moltres is real, of course Articuno must be, right?
And Ho-Oh being real. I feel like that'd help.
Well, that one I could understand him, not being for sure if it is real. Like, he's seen the carvings of it, he saw it when he was lying on the ground and it was flying above him or whatever. But, very briefly. So, did he really see it?
No,
I can see...
but he thinks he saw Ho-Oh. He's convinced of that. So I'm like, if he's convinced of that, and he doesn't believe Articuno's real, come on, dude.
Maybe it's leftover brain damage from YouTube messing with his mind. Even though that happened before all this.
Sure. Well, he's just an idiot.
Something.
Maybe he isn't actually human. He's genetically modified or something because he never ages past the point of 10.
This is a good point.
And he is very stupid.
I'm digging this new conspiracy theory.
Yep.
Anyway, Todd says it is real, and someone had seen it around nearby. Then the gang see a meteor shooting through the sky. Todd thinks it might be Articuno. But the meteor, it almost hits them and puts a hole in the ground where Todd was standing, and it turns out it's a frozen sun kern. That must be the Hemonuts.
Yeah.
Well, it's frozen, right? So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd leads the group to a nearby lodge, and Team Rocket spies on all of this, and they chase after them to steal Pikachu. The lodge is taken care of by an old woman who brings them all in to help take care of Sunkern and gets it thawed out. The lady says the lodge is known as Sunflora Lodge, and they get trapped into listening to her story of how it got its name. Apparently, 50 years ago, her sweetheart left to work and make money, and he would return and they would get married. But the guy had been in an accident and ended up in a coma for months. Then she got a letter when he recovered, and he said he would be coming by, and if she put a Sunflora in front of her lodge, he would know she still wanted him. So she got all the people in town to lend her Sunflora.
She couldn't find anyone with Sunflora.
I don't remember that part.
No, she couldn't find all the trainers and the townspeople. She couldn't find anyone with a Sunflora. But eventually she found a bunch on the mountain.
Oh, maybe that's right. Anyway, either way, a ton of Sunflora end up in front of the lodge. More than just one. And then he gets back, and they are happily reunited, and they get married. But they're only happy for a time because the accident had weakened him, and eventually he died. And of course, the whole gang, and even Team Rocket, who are still spying on things, are all crying from the sad story.
And like when at the beginning they were like, "Oh, we're getting trapped into this old lady's tail."
Yep. And she has a picture from when they were with the Sunflora, and
when they were all like complaining almost about having to listen to her story, like it flashed on each of them for their thoughts, and she had a bunch of snacks set out. And when it flashed on Brock, he went, "I wonder if she has any string cheese."
I forgot about that. That was funny. Like they're like, "Oh man, oh dang," and then Brock's like, "I wonder if it's string cheese."
Mm-hmm.
But then a guy shows up, and it is her husband, who is not dead. Apparently, the lady likes to make up stories. Todd is fascinated by the Sunflora picture. So apparently, a lot of Sunflora spend the winter nearby, and because there's always like sunshine on their hills or something, I don't know. After getting married, the two of them have taken pictures with the Sunflora every year for 49 years. Now it is their golden anniversary, and Todd wants to take this year's picture for them.
Again, perfect timing.
Of course. But it has been unusually cold this year, and so no Sunflora are around this time. But Todd wants to take their picture anyway, in the spot they always go. So they all head out there, and Brock is bringing Sunkern to see if it can figure out why the Sunflora aren't there.
When she was telling the story, Sunkern was in its little bowl and had like a hot cloth on its head and everything. It looked like it was in the spa or something.
Well, it basically was a bowl that was made into a spa for it to thaw out.
Mm-hmm.
Team Rocket follow, because they want to steal Pikachu, of course. And then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon's shell becomes thicker by adding layers of tree bark. While the gang is out there with the old couple, it starts to snow. Then the lady tells another fake tale about crossing a bridge, and the lady almost fell to her death. And, nobody's really buying into it. I think they do a little bit, but
they buy into this one.
They start questioning it. They're like, but if that happened, right? I thought they did.
No, I questioned it as she was saying it.
I think there's some question.
I was like, but there's still a bridge, and that's the same backpack she was just wearing.
Oh. Yeah, no, that's right. One of the gang does say, but we didn't cross any bridge.
After she finishes the tale, so they question it afterwards.
Yeah, that's what
they completely believe it while she tells the tale.
Okay. It is too early for snow, they've mentioned, and they realize the reason that they're getting snow is because a busted bot is creating it. Team Rocket skis in with an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, we couldn't be prouder.
We just made a foot of brand new powder. Todd is excited to get a picture of Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet! The old lady reflects on the last time they were caught in a storm like the one they're in now, and it is fake as well.
And they all knew it right away.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't you want to hear the ending?
Nope. Bulbasaur goes in, but ends up defeated by the snow. Then Arbok grabs Pikachu. Bulbasaur tries to fight free, but can't get out, and so Sunkern shows up and uses Sunny Day. This melts all the snow, and Bulbasaur can fight, and is able to use Solar Beam on the snow machine. Then Pikachu charges up, and Jessie uses a catching catchphrase, saying,
"Here comes that blasting off feeling."
So Team Rocket rises in their balloon to get away, and Pikachu thunderbolts them anyway, and it sends them blasting off again!
Ding!
Ding! Now that they're dealt with, Misty suggests taking a picture with Sunkern, who is a pre-evolved Sunflora. But Brock just has Ash use his Sunstone from the bug-catching contest on Sunkern, evolving it into Sunflora, a Pokemon he is not keeping. But we did get an evolution, so that was cool.
But before that, she's like, well, yeah, I guess no point in coming all this way and not taking our picture. I'm like, didn't you already decide you were going to take your picture anyway?
Well, she can't. It's hard for her to remember things when she's making up stories all the time.
And she's old and decrepit.
She's old. Okay.
Just like you.
Thanks. The new Sunflora calls out, and a ton of Sunflora show up, and so the picture can be taken like usual. And somehow them being there brings grass back to the slopes as well, which there wasn't grass at all before, so I don't know what happened there.
Fine.
And then, after the picture, Todd is sure he saw Articuno or something like it fly by. And Brock thinks maybe it was Articuno that brought the cold weather, which had driven off the Sunflora. Then they all leave to chase after the Articuno with Todd, which we mentioned will be sticking with them for a few episodes. And who's that Pokemon? It's Pineco. Pineco. So we have a rockin' reunion, a busted bot, the Snowmaker, an interesting intro, a catching catchphrase, and an evolution. We got 2 evolutions in a row.
And we're getting a couple busted bots.
Yeah. I remember that one episode where it was like busted bot, busted bot, busted bot.
Oh,
busted
yeah.
bot. Every episode. Now to rank it.
Well, I mean, it was pretty decent. I like the old lady's fake tails. It was funny.
That was funny. The first one was the best, because I was like, oh, well, that is kind of sad. I'm kind of surprised they put this in a cartoon like this, and then all of a sudden it was fake.
Yeah, that one was... The other ones didn't trick me, but it was funny.
Correct.
I think
I'm with you.
let's put it right below maybe imitation confrontation.
Okay.
Do you think that's a good spot?
I think it's fine. Sure.
I don't know.
I would have put it probably under Ariados at least, if not further. I don't know.
All of them are like decent, so like they can all go anywhere.
Sure. Like I said, there wasn't much in this one that I was super excited about. I mean, Todd Snap coming back was kind of cool, I guess. But
I like the old lady stories.
yes. All right. Next episode is Season 4, Episode 31, Spring Fever, or Kokohore Urimu Onsen o Sagase. I guess
3 exclamation points, you guys! They should like put 6 in there to make up for the other episodes, but that's okay. They got 3.
So I remembered Coco was like here or whatever, which the translation is dig here, so hore must be dig. So here dig Urimu, because Urimu is the Pokemon.
I'm gonna guess Diglett with the dig here. I said I'm gonna guess Diglett with the dig here. Or is that...
It's not Diglett.
Oh, who is it?
Search for... And so yeah, it's called Dig Here, Urimu, Search for the Hot Spring.
Oh, this one. No, it's not Diglett.
Yeah. I'm like, do you remember watching an episode recently with some Diglets?
I don't know. I don't remember. I was half asleep for some of these.
That's true. We were trading off on some of that.
I mean, it was New Year's Eve, Dad.
Yes, it's true.
Well, it wasn't New Year's Eve. It was like the day after.
Right. So, I mentioned that Todd Snap was sticking around with the gang, but now I'm questioning, is the gang actually traveling with Todd at this point, since they're going after what he's looking for? Because according to the narrator, that's what's happening. And they see a mountain ahead and think Articuno must be there. Then they stop for some food, and Misty is attacked by a swinub who eats the food. At first, we just saw a pig nose, so it looked like it could be a Mankey or Primeape. And she was eating another quote-unquote jelly donut, or, the rice ball. And that was one of the first times we saw one of those was the Primeape Mankey episode.
So bringing back the jelly donuts.
And then 2 more swine-up come in, and the 3 devour Misty's snack. A little girl shows up and explains the swine-up are named Sue, Ein, and Ub. Swine-up.
Swine-up.
And they belong to her father. The girl is Peggy, which I think is kind of funny because it almost sounds like Piggy. Like pig noses on the swine-up. And then they meet the father, Rory, and he is a hot spring digger. Hotels hire him to find hot springs so that they can build their resorts there. The swine-up are usually helpful in finding the hot springs, but they've been having trouble over the last few jobs, and he had to give those jobs up. So he's really hoping they can find it this time, because they don't have money to buy food or anything. While Rory's Graveler is digging up another potential spot that the swine-up found, Team Rocket is spying on them all, and Jessie gushes over how much she loves hot springs. And so Jessie says their new mission is to find their own hot spring and open their own hotel. Who cares about the stealing Pokemon stuff?
Except they're going to have to steal Pokemon to do it.
True. So they're planning on helping the gang and Rory dig up some hot springs. The pit that Rory's Graveler digs up turns up nothing. Team Rocket show up and claim to be from the hotel company and are there to help. James says they have plenty of experience and almost explains it's because they dig traps for the twerps. Then they see Graveler in action and want one of those too because they dig holes all the time and Graveler's so much faster. The gang and Team Rocket help dig holes, but it isn't going well, so Jessie decides they will steal all the swine-up and the Graveler to dig somewhere else to find their hot springs. James bags the swine-up, but Jessie can't...
Well, first Jessie told James to get the Graveler, but he's like, it's too heavy, so she's like, fine, I'll get it.
Sure.
You get the swine-up.
So, James bags the swine-up, but Jessie can't move the Graveler, so they decide just to take the swine-up. Meowth is supposed to pick them all up, but before he gets there, Peggy sees Team Rocket steal the swine-up. Everyone arrives, and so Team Rocket gets to dig into their interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, 'cause we dig Pokemon.
That's why we're stealing your 3 pig Pokemon. Aw, James, you just run Pokemon with Pokemon. Where's your skills? And then Meowth shows up with some kind of sled-like device when he says his line about that's right or whatever, and he picks up Jessie and James. Then Team Rocket reveals that when they were digging for hot springs, they were actually just jigging traps. Because I think they fall into one or something.
Yeah.
Ash and Co. used cardboard boxes to sled on the rocky hill chasing after Team Rocket.
Okay, all the physics and all the different things that they do, it just doesn't work.
Right? None of this makes any sense. Those boxes would be torn to shreds.
But, like, all the different things just...
Yeah, they end up slipping on, like, a spill at one point, but I'm like...
spinning in circles.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense at all.
So stupid.
However, when Todd is spinning out of control, he does see a sparkle in the sky that looks like Articuno, so he wants to get a picture, but he can't because he's spinning around, and he misses it. But he does see a tall mountain and is sure that Articuno's going up there. The rest of the gang also saw it this time, so now they all believe in Articuno.
Even though you
Hey, you could argue that Brock wouldn't know for sure, because he wasn't there for that.
That makes sense, but everyone else is just a freaking idiot.
Agreed. Team Rocket gets away, but Ash...
Wait, but Brock still lives in the world, doesn't he? Wait, wasn't he with Professor Oak?
No, he was with Professor Ivy. But he didn't come He didn't come to the thing. We just saw him on the screen because he was busy taking care of the place.
Okay, but he lives in the world, so he knew what was happening, right?
Not necessarily. And even the people that got stuff from the news, they didn't necessarily know that it was the legendary birds that were causing problems. They just knew that something was going on there causing problems.
Okay.
So anybody who wasn't there, I'm totally fine with them not necessarily believing in the thing. I mean, do you believe everything you hear in the news? Okay.
No.
Okay, so there you go. Besides, Brock is probably super busy all the time cleaning and taking care of Pokemon.
Yeah, those girls were slops.
When he was there. Yeah, they were slops. Alright. Team Rocket gets away, but Ash and Co. aren't giving up on getting them back. Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon carries around its very own seasoning. Team Rocket are pleased with having swiped the Swinub. Jessie says they won't bring them to the boss until they find the hot springs. The Swinub get excited in an area again, and so Team Rocket digs. And they actually find something. Black stuff surges upward, and it is actually oil. And they're all upset about it at first. They're like, oh man, it's oil. But then it clicks that, wait a second, it's oil. We're rich! Well, Jessie and Meowth are super excited. James seems suspicious right off the bat. And so then he actually checks a little more around where they dug and finds out that they had actually hit a pipeline, which means the oil is pumping from somewhere else that somebody else has already discovered. Which means that they're also in danger of jail.
They were already in danger of jail.
Well, this time it seems to sink in, so they start running off because they don't want to go to jail. Noctowl was spying on Team Rocket during all that and delivers the info of where they are to Ash and company.
This is one of the times you were dozing off because you didn't know why they left the oil.
You're right, I did doze off for that.
At the end, you're like, why don't they go back to the oil? I'm like, because that would be stealing it from the company?
Yeah, I missed the whole pipeline part the first time I watched it, but I've watched it twice, so. So then we get a battle, and a distracted Pokemon with, the James-eating victory bell. The Swinub are very angry with Team Rocket and want some payback for being kidnapped. So the Swinub do the next battle. Todd is super excited and is taking pictures of the battle, but then Jessie shows up trying to get him to take pictures of her beauty. He completely rejects her. Because that's not what he takes pictures of. But I wondered, was this a vanity moment?
I feel like if someone rejects her beauty, then yeah, probably.
Sweet. Alright. The Swinub end up freezing all of Team Rocket's Pokemon, and then a double water gun from Misty and Ash's Pokemon sends Team Rocket flying off without their usual saying. Ding! Then the Swinub get excited again, and this time it is actually a hot spring. They all say their goodbyes, and the gang is off again. And our Who's That Pokemon, the one that carries its own seasoning? Farfetch'd. We had an interesting intro, a distracted Pokemon, and Vanity. Now to rank it. Spring Fever. It's fine. I kind of like the Swinub's name. The boxes didn't make any sense. I did like that Team Rocket dug traps when they were pretending to dig for hot springs. That was kind of clever. I did really enjoy the interaction with the oil where it's like, what? Not this. It's all dirty. Oh, wait a second. It's oil. Yay. But right off the bat when they were excited, like, you could see them dancing and James just like, And a little bit more goes on and then he's like digging around and checking. He's like, no, this is not good. So, those were kind of fun. But, like, that's not like a super awesome episode. I'm thinking... technically, I think it goes over some of the other episodes that are in the middle of our list. But, that's because I think those should be down further. So, we're going to go maybe under Apple Core?
Okay, sounds good.
So, just above the Yanma one, which that one I didn't like as much. Alright, so our next episode is Season 4, Episode 32, Freeze Frame, or Furiza Tai Purin, Fubuki no Nakade, or Freezer versus Purin, in the middle of a snowstorm.
They did 3! Yay!
Yep. So, Tai is the versus. Freezer must be Articuno's name. His name is Freezer in Japan. Well, I think, Zapdos is, lightning or something. In fact, I think Jolteon and Zapdos or something like that have the exact same name, except, just a slight tweak to how long you hold the vowel at the end or something.
Like EA and EA?
Sort of like that, yes. But they're both like lightning.
EA being no and EA being house.
Correct.
Just to be clear, everyone.
And we've run into the name Purin before, because we had Purin versus Bull. Do you know
That's nice.
Do you remember who Bull is?
No.
Snubble.
Purin
is Jigglypuff! So, Articuno versus Jigglypuff in the middle of a snowstorm. The title is misleading, just so you know. Alright. So Noctowl is scouting ahead up toward the mountain, and this is the same mountain we saw in the last episode, so I thought that was kind of cool, but they're now closer to it. Now, Noctowl still hasn't found anything. Then Brock mentions something about Snowtop Mountain, so we now have a name for it, and that it's snowy all year around. Now, when we get that description, that seems like something, if I heard that there was a place called Snowtop Mountain, and it's called that because it's, snowy all year around, if I was looking for, a Pokemon that causes a lot of ice and snow and stuff, I think that might be where I would look first. If I wanted to find one real bad. Come on, Todd.
He's just stupid like Ash. Oh yeah, I was also going to say, Ash is definitely genetically modified and whatever, and he's part Pokemon, because that's how he communicates with Pokemon so well and has such a good connection.
Interesting. So Golbat also scouts ahead, and it leads the gang into a jumpin' Jigglypuff, because our friend is finally back and frozen in ice. Cyndaquil thaws out Jigglypuff, and Todd gets in its face asking about Articuno, and he gets slapped multiple times for his effort. We cut to Team Rocket climbing the mountain to set a trap for the twerps, since they know they are headed that way, and they're climbing the sheer cliffside of a mountain or whatever, using the picks and stuff to pull themselves up.
Yeah.
Then Ruby's favorite Pokemon swarms in and pecks at the team.
I doubt this is my favorite Pokemon, so we are just
causing them to...
No, we're just skipping over this part. Yeah, we're all done with this part.
Yeah, her favorite Pokemon, Spearow...
No, we're done with this part, I said!
Pecks at Team Rocket.
I said we're done with this part.
Causing them to plummet to their death.
Yay!
They claim, as they're falling, that it's too early. And Meowth even asks, blasting off already? But not in a typical way. They don't say it because they're not saying, we're blasting off already. He's just he actually is just kind of asking a question. So I was confused on where to place this. Would this be an off again? Because they are saying it as they're departing, but it's more of a question, not actually Or
I feel like
is it a catch and catchphrase?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I feel like it could be.
So catch and catchphrase?
Let's do that for now, and then the listeners can tell us.
Sounds great. So we'll go with that for now. Listeners, you let us know if we're wrong. On our own tally rules. As the gang continues towards the mountain, they see some Stantler, which I thought was kind of cool, being out in the snow and everything. They don't play any part. It was just kind of cool to see them just hanging out.
Yeah.
And then they find a Pokemon Center. There they meet Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy. Ash has an idea for Jigglypuff to sing Articuno to put it to sleep so that Todd can take a picture. But Misty points out that Todd would be asleep too if that happened, and Todd doesn't want to take a picture like that. He wants it in action to show its true majesty. Joy and Jenny talk about how Articuno come to the mountain all the time, and they talk about the Articuno as if there are multiple. The way they're talking, it doesn't sound like they're saying a specific Articuno, but Articuno as a species. It happens a couple times. Yeah.
So, yeah, I pointed it out to you, and I was like, wait, are there more than one?
Which, that would fit, since there's the one on the island all the way on the other place. Maybe that's what Ash is a little confused about. He saw that there was, the godlike Articuno, the three there, but maybe there's, a bunch more regular-ish ones, and he didn't believe those were real.
He would have said something.
I'm just gonna go with it. Anyway, back to Team Rocket. Oh, it's like the alpha Pokemon, right? Is that what they're called?
Yes.
In Arceus?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the ones on the islands were the alpha ones.
Yeah, but he still know they exist. I don't know. I don't agree with it.
But maybe he didn't realize, maybe he didn't believe that there were normalish ones out in the regular world.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go to the fake orange islands that don't exist in the games.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Team Rocket. They are on a very small ledge up high on the side of a cliff. I guess they didn't quite fall to their death. They are stuck, and Jessie cries for help. Then Articuno comes to their rescue. Elsewhere, by a statue of Articuno with Joy and Jenny, and Articuno flies by fast and drops off Team Rocket. Ash and Co. realize it was an Articuno that rescued them, and so they rush out to get the picture.
Wasn't Articuno. It sounded like you said wasn't.
No. Ash and Co. realize it was an Articuno. I think I see where you're hearing it. Just was an Articuno.
I heard it better this time.
So Ash and Co. realize that it was an Articuno that rescued them, and so they rush out to get a picture. So now Team Rocket knows that Articuno saved them, and so they intend to go capture it, not with a camera. With everyone gone to the mountain and a storm on the way, Jenny and Joy decide they need to go rescue everyone before the storm hits. And then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. This Pokemon spits flames so hot they can melt boulders. I thought that was a funny one for the middle of freezing episode. The gang are freezing and can barely see in the blizzard, and then Articuno arrives. It reveals that the gang almost walked right over a cliff. Articuno saved them.
Well, Misty had a part to play with saying we should stop since we can't even see where we're going.
Yes. Jigglypuff almost sings, but Ash stops it. Todd goes for a picture, but something attacks the Articuno. The gang asks who is doing it, and Team Rocket answers with an interesting intro.
Prepare for trouble, I think that you know.
We're here to capture Articuno. And we have a Wobbuffet with an irritating interruption. And a battle begins. Not between Articuno and Jigglypuff. Articuno uses Ice Beam, but Wobbuffet uses Mirror Coat. Articuno dodges, but then goes down the cliff. Ash and Todd rush forward, and a chunk of ice falls, and they go falling down as well. Pikachu and Jigglypuff jump in after them. Suddenly, a blizzard wind picks up and blows Team Rocket up and away. Articuno flies down beside the falling boys, and its eyes glow for a moment. Misty and Brock decide to head back and get help from Jenny and Joy. Jigglypuff puffs up to slow its descent with Pikachu riding on top. Ash and Todd are laying at the bottom of the cliff unconscious. They wake up and are surprised to be alive. Articuno hovers over them, and Todd is sure Articuno saved them.
They would have survived either way.
Well, yeah. Jigglypuff and Pikachu arrive and join the party. Jigglypuff almost sings again, but they stop it. Again. Team Rocket crashes down right near them all. Another battle occurs. Articuno freezes the attack from Team Rocket, stopping them. Then Articuno dodges and goes for an Ice Beam, and this time, Articuno was prepared for the counter, and it uses Blizzard and sends Team Rocket blasting off again. Ding! The sun comes out, and Articuno glitters in the sunlight, and Todd takes his shot. Then the legendary Pokemon leaves. Jigglypuff also got blown away when Team Rocket did. And they actually hope that Jigglypuff is okay. Like the gang do. They're like, oh, we hope he's okay, or she is, or whatever. Todd is going to stay and take pictures of Pokemon in the mountains. And so, after being together for 3 episodes again, they are separated again. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is holed up and cold in a cave. And they keep telling each other, we can't go to sleep because then we'll freeze to death. But wait, Jigglypuff shows up and sings. Night night, Team Rocket.
That took a dark turn.
And our Who's That Pokemon? It's Charizard. So we have a jumpin' Jigglypuff, an interesting intro, an irritating interruption, and a catching catchphrase. And I gotta say, Jigglypuff tried to sing a couple times with Articuno there. And they planned to use it on Articuno, but
They changed their mind.
They changed their mind right away, so they always stopped Jigglypuff. So it never got to do so. But why was Jigglypuff trying to sing to Articuno? And I think they had a spat earlier, which is why it was frozen. And it's probably still upset from being frozen, because we know Jigglypuff holds a grudge. We've seen Jigglypuff get after people for doing things to it. Taking its microphone, all that stuff, you know?
So maybe it is Jigglypuff versus Freezer.
Yeah, we just didn't get to watch it happen.
Probably took 2 seconds.
Yeah, probably. Alright, time to rank it.
I don't know. Where's the general idea you think it might go?
Well, for one, I love it when Jigglypuff shows back up.
Yeah.
But Jigglypuff didn't get to do a whole lot. It was cool to see Articuno in action, doing some stuff. Based off of what we already watched today, or what we watched for this particular episode, so what we've been reviewing, it's definitely above, I think, All That Glitters, the Murkrow one. Well, no, because Noctowl was cool in that one. That's why I like that one so high. It's definitely above the Light Fantastic. It's definitely above that, I think. And that's just my opinion. Maybe it's not that good. I don't know.
Maybe above typecasting?
I could be down for that.
Okay.
Alright. And now for our final one. Season 4, Episode 33, The Stolen Stones. Or, Uindi to Hono no Ishi.
Only one pathetic exclamation point.
Windy and the Firestone. So Uindi, that's windy, and Hono no Ishi. I think Ishi is fire. Could be wrong. Maybe it's Hono. No, I don't know.
I think Hono would be fire because the no almost makes it sound like it belongs to fire, so firestone.
Well, it's Hono no Ishi, so that no is the thing. So
I know, so Hono is probably fire.
Maybe. Stone of fire. Firestone. I don't know. So, the gang walk through a valley and are nervous some boulders might fall and crush them. And they almost do. But then they are rescued by 2 trainers and their 3 Arcanine.
Oh yeah, that was kind of cool.
Which I believe is they're called Windy in Japan then. Or Windy. The rescuers are Ramona and her little brother Keegan. Brock fawns over Ramona and Misty pulls his ear, babysitting Brock again. Keegan has a bag full of fire stones, and they are bringing them to a fire Pokemon competition because they are the rewards for the contest. And see, the reason that the gang is not involved in the fire Pokemon competition is because Ash doesn't have his Charizard anymore.
So annoying.
Since it is in the same direction as Olivine, they all agree to travel together because it's faster on the backs of Arcanines. During a break in their journey, Ash is given an opportunity to ride an Arcanine on his own.
Why do you say it like that? It's Arcanine, because it's a canine. Cane, however that dog is pronounced.
Canine.
Canine. It's a canine.
Finally, Ash is riding Arcanine like...
Why? I let you have your manga. I let you have your anime. But just say Arcanine.
Okay. Ash is riding Windy like in the first season's opening. Okay, fine. Ash is riding Arcanine like in the first season's opening. Like in that, with the original theme song and everything. He's riding across the land on one, I think.
Finally.
And I don't think we've ever seen him ride on one. So now we are. Ash is doing a pretty good job, but then Keegan has to shout a command to save him because he's about to run into something. Suddenly, a rocket comes crashing down right next to them all, and a mech arm shoots out and steals the stones. Wouldn't you know it, Team Rocket is actually using a rocket. And launch into their interesting intro.
It's too late to prepare for trouble.
We stole the Firestones on the double. Pikachu goes to zap them, but the hand grabs him then too. And Arcanine rescues him. Then all 3 of them go after Team Rocket. And so they all escape on a tandem bicycle. Because they can't leave in the rocket, because it only crashes down one way, So the chase is on with the Arcanine. The Arcanine are too fast, and so Team Rocket just stops, causing the Arcanine to run too far and fall into a classic pit trap. They knew what they were doing. They planned all this ahead. And Team Rocket gets away. That was actually pretty clever of them. Some actual forward thinking from the group. So Ash and everybody finds a trail for Team Rocket, but then they find that it splits up. All with the bike tires going in different directions. Ramona, Brock, and Misty, with 2 Arcanine, find the bag of Firestones just sitting on a stump. Okay, come on, guys. Really?
That is so obvious. They're so
So they walk over to it and fall into a pit twice as deep as James is usual. He dug that one, and it turns out he's on a unicycle, which means their tandem cycle can split up. Which I think is kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Ash, Keegan, and the other Arcanine are chasing Jessie on her own unicycle, carrying her own bag of Firestones. She leads them to a battlefield and challenges Ash to a battle for the stones. Ash is fine with it because he always beats her. Ash and Pikachu, of course, do win, and then Jessie's like, oh, fine, and she just tosses the bag of Firestones into the middle of the field so that they can collect their winnings. Which they do, and fall into a pit trap.
That one was still kind of obvious. Not as obvious, but still kind of obvious.
Yeah, because she wouldn't just hand them over if she lost. She's
Right?
not honorable like that.
Uh-huh.
Now, this one's really bad because when they fall, Keegan hurts his arm, could be broken, and they do find that the bag is full of rocks, not Firestones. And Pikachu gets kidnapped again. Then we get our Who's That Pokemon trivia. When this Pokemon senses danger, it starts to smell bad. Team Rocket is pleased with their plan working, and they leave before they blow it. Also smart. They're really smart this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Ash, Keegan, and Arcanine work together to get out of their pit. Then they go looking for Team Rocket and their friends. But Keegan's arm is messed up, and so Ash needs to lead Arcanine instead. They have some trouble, and Keegan has to coach him so that he can really connect with Arcanine. Lesson learned, he gets better. Team Rocket is now having a celebration picnic. Now they're being idiots, because they're still not in the clear.
Right.
Onyx helps Brock and them get out of their pit, and they hear Keegan's Arcanine, so they rush off to reunite. Ash and Keegan find Team Rocket, but they escape in their balloon. Then Ramona and the rest show up, and one of those Arcanine run up Onyx and leaps up to Team Rocket, burning the balloon and sending Team Rocket crashing. Ash gets Pikachu back, and a battle ensues. Team Rocket flees again, and Ash rides Arcanine after them and sends Pikachu into Thunderbolt, which sends Team Rocket blasting off again!
Ding!
Ding! So the delivery is made, and Ash and Co. head back on their way. But Brock tries to stay behind with Ramona, and Misty is tasked with babysitting Brock a second time by pulling him along the path by his ear.
Whoa, I think I slept through like half that episode.
Oh, did you? I forgot. I was like, why aren't you chiming in a whole lot? But that's because you were sleeping. I forgot.
His arm got messed up? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, they said it's messed up, and Ash thinks it might be broken. He's like, I don't think it is, but maybe.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember like any of the episode.
They really featured Arcanine a lot, though.
Yeah. Did you just say it wrong again?
I did. It's hard for me to say it the right way.
I noticed maybe it just bothers me how you say it, because it was better when you said it right, but still, you said it just wonky.
Who's that Pokemon? This time, it's Gloom. And we have 2 babysitting Brocks for the tally, and 1 interesting intro. And now to rank our last one for this episode. The Stolen Stones. Well, I thought the use of the featured Pokemon was really cool because they had it burn the balloon. They had it run super fast at the end so that Ash could use Pikachu's Thunderbolt. Ash needing to learn how to connect with the Arcanine seemed a little weird because he just usually has a talent for that anyway, as you pointed out earlier, because he's half Pokemon. Them being really stupid with the pits were just ridiculous. I thought Team Rocket was super clever and like thinking ahead on a lot of stuff and did really well up until their celebration too early. They just couldn't wait, I guess. So yeah, I mean, overall it was pretty decent. Like, it's not in the high realms of like Houndoom's special delivery or power play or anything like that, you know? Didn't have a bunch of EVs. Maybe between a better pill to swallow and all that glitters. And all that glitters is just above imitation confrontation, which is the ditto.
Okay, sounds good.
So that makes that one our number 12, which pushes all that glitters to 13, moving pictures to 15, freeze frame to 17, spring fever to 26, and UnBEARable is 33. Now, we need to catch some Pokemon. So who do we think earns our Pokeballs this week?
Can a Pokemon get multiple Pokeballs?
You mean like throughout the season?
Yeah, because I'm going to think probably not, but...
I don't know. I think you can probably catch a Pokemon twice.
I don't think ours are going to match this time.
They might not. This one's got an interesting spread of Pokemon this time, so nothing that was like super featured multiple episodes.
Exactly. So I don't really know who to choose, but I think I know who I'm going to choose. It's debatable between 2. I don't know. None of them really like made me go, yes, let's pick that one, like Houndoom.
Right. I have a couple of thoughts. So, yeah, I think I have like 3 in mind, maybe.
I think I have the one. Well, I don't know. Well, I think I have the one I'm going to choose.
Alright, I think I do too.
Guess.
Alright.
Just know I'm not like definitely ensnared on this.
Okay.
I forgot their name real quick. Okay, now I remember.
Ooh, I'm really having a tough time between 2.
That's when you throw it up in the air and be like, I don't care, I'll just do that one.
Alright. 1, 2, 3, Noctowl.
Arcanine.
Oh, I almost went that route. I almost went with Arcanine.
I forgot about Noctowl and the shinies.
Yeah,
I'm good with this.
I just relate to Noctowl so much. Alright, so we finally disagreed, just barely. So, a Pokeball for Noctowl and a Pokeball for Arcanine. I like it. And now, with all that covered, I think it's time for Pokemon cards.
Whoop whoop.
Alright, so this week I'm opening Scarlet and Violet Temporal Forces with a blue dog deer thing on it. I don't remember what it's called.
This week I'm opening Scarlet and Violet Shrouded Fable with that bear.
Oh, sure.
The green
Tokidori
bear.
or something like that.
Something like that. I know there's an O in it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I think you start, miss.
Yay! Alright, my first one is Persian. Evolves from Meowth, colorless. It has a vicious temperament. Beware if it raises its tail straight up. This is a signal that it is about to pounce and bite. Krogunk, fighting type. It rarely fights fairly, but that is strictly to ensure survival. It is popular as a mascot. Stuffle, colorless type. Its fluffy fur is a delight to pet, but carelessly reaching out to touch this Pokemon could result in painful retaliation. Then Rowlet, grass type. At a distance, it launches its sharp feathers while flying about. If the enemy gets too close, Rowlet switches tactics and delivers vicious kicks. Stadium, trainer card. Academy at night. Once during each player's turn, that player may put a card from their hand on top of their deck. My next one is Weevil. Evolves from Sneasel, water type. They travel in groups of 4 or 5, leaving signs for one another on trees and rocks. They bring down their prey with coordinate attacks. Coordinated?
Coordinated.
Yeah. Item, trainer card. Night Stretcher. Another night card.
Interesting.
Put a Pokemon or a basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. Beware evolves from Stuffle, colorless type. It's also a reverse holo, which will be perfect for my Stuffle. Once it accepts you as a friend, it tries to show its affection with a hug. Letting it do that is dangerous. It could easily shatter your bones. Oh. Ooh. Q-Font. Steel. It's like full art.
Ooh.
Q-Font can lift loads weighing 5 tons. In the mornings, it heads into caves with its herd in search of the ore which these Pokemon feed. And then my rare card, because that wasn't apparently my rare card.
What?
Oh, it was probably like my second reverse holo, even though it wasn't reverse holo, it was just full art instead. My rare card is Haxorus, evolves from Fraxure. And I can picture the thing it evolves from, but...
Yeah.
Because it's stage 2. Dragon. It overwhelms enemies with its prized tusks, which are sharp enough to cut through a metal transmission tower in one strike.
Axew is the basic form.
Axew. And then a dark type. Energy.
Nice. Alright. Let's see what I got. Lickitung, colorless. If this Pokemon's sticky saliva gets on you and you don't clean it off, an intense itch will set in. The itch won't go away either. Slugma. A common sight in volcanic areas. It slowly slithers around in a constant search for warm places. Solosis. It communicates with others telepathically. Its body is encapsulated in liquid, but if it takes a heavy blow, the liquid will leak out. Scyther. The sharp scythes on its forearms become increasingly sharp by cutting through hard objects. Look at that action shot.
That's really cool.
Ooh. Future item card. Pokemon Tool Trainer. So, a Pokemon Tool Trainer. Future card. Future Booster Energy Capsule. The future Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost, and the attacks it uses do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. Ooh, and to go along with it, a future Pokemon, Iron Hands, lightning type. This Pokemon shares many similarities with Iron Hands, an object mentioned in a certain expedition journal. Rescue Board. That's a funny picture. It's like a skateboard with sirens. The retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 1 less. If that Pokemon's remaining HP is 30 or less, it has no retreat cost. So I got a couple things to help me with retreats.
Nice.
I got a reverse holo Snom, water type. It eats snow that has accumulated on the ground. It prefers soft, freshly fallen snow, so it will eat its way up a mountain, aiming for the peak. Then I got a reverse hollow Metang, evolves from Beldum, Steel type, ability, Metal Maker. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic metal energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards and put them on the bottom of your deck. 2 Beldum have become stuck together via their own magnetic forces. With 2 brains, the resulting Metang has doubled psychic powers. And then I got Roaring Moon, ancient Pokemon, Dark type. It is possible that this is the creature listed as Roaring Moon in an expedition journal that still holds many mysteries. And then I got a Grass type energy. Well, that's our episode. Routes Through Pokemon is a Hunterfield Institute production. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and other podcasting platforms. So please like, subscribe, rate, and review. You can also find us on YouTube at the Hunterfield Institute channel. Just look for the Routes Through Pokemon playlist. And if you want to keep up to date on our rankings and our tally lists, we try to update them every week after the episodes and put them on our Facebook page, Routes Through Pokemon. But you also can get in touch with me on Instagram at kinetic_card and X at HunterfieldIns. You can also email us at hunterfieldmanor@gmail.com. Next week, I think we will have another 8 episodes, starting with Season 4, Episode 34, The Dunsparce Deception, and then The Wayward Wobbuffet, Sick Days, Ringmasters, The Poke Spokesman, Control Freak, The Art of Pokemon, and The Heartbreak of Brock. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next route. Bye-bye! Sayonara! Part 29, Twist of Fate. Violet lay in the grass at the bottom of a small cliff. Her body ached a bit from the fall, but it didn't seem too bad. Her bigger concern was the sound of Pokemon lurking nearby. She moved to get up and immediately cried out. Her ankle throbbed with pain.
Are you okay?
Violet looked up where Hanako, the pink-haired girl, was leaning over the short cliff. With a single thumbs up, Violet tried to get up again.
Yeah, I'm fine. Ow!
She flopped back down. She didn't want to admit she needed help to Hanako, but she didn't really have much of a choice.
I think I twisted my ankle or something. Oh, ow. I'll be right down, okay?
Then Hanako leapt from the cliff. Violet, surprised, started to tell her to stop, but then, realizing it was too late, she flung her arms up around her head and curled into a ball to protect herself as best she could from the other girl possibly landing hard on top of her. But nothing happened. Nothing landed on Violet, and nothing landed nearby. Unless Hanako was some kind of ninja and could land without a sound. Violet rolled her eyes at the thought.
The way that girl runs into things and shatters,
she thought.
There is no way.
Peeking out from under her arms, Violet saw Hanako was still in the air and just floating gently down. It seemed impossible at first, and then she noticed the Jigglypuff just above the pink-haired girl.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah, Violet is really helpful. Do you have a Jigglypuff?
Violet shook her head and chuckled.
Almost. Run into them twice already.
Sang your Pokemon to sleep, huh?
And me.
Oh, really?
Hanako giggled.
Yeah, actually, it was right after going over another cliff. Well, more a ledge, I guess. Seems like I have a talent for taking a fall.
Hanako offered a hand, and Violet took it. It was a struggle to get up, and Hanako, being smaller and lighter than the other girl, was almost pulled down to the ground instead. The two managed a few steps, but it was not a smooth process. When Violet almost toppled over, she instinctively put her foot out to stop herself. The shock of pain made her cry out again, and she tried to grip Hanako to prop herself up, but ended up just dragging the pink-haired girl down with her.
I'm sorry,
Violet said.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
Well, this isn't sustainable, is it?
What isn't?
Hanako turned her head slightly toward Violet, but she was preoccupied with something else that Violet couldn't see.
Me leaning on you? We've barely made it 5 feet.
Oh yeah, right. Feet.
Violet raised an eyebrow.
Maybe if we ate the purple grass the floating head is looking at, we could get to the moon.
Sounds good.
Hanako said absently.
What are you so fascinated with?
Hanako snapped her head around and blinked.
What?
You weren't listening to anything I was saying.
Sorry, I just thought I saw something deeper in the grass. Probably a Pokemon, but I couldn't quite make out what it was.
Violet scooted a little closer, babying her ankle to keep it from hurting too much.
Oh yeah? Where?
Hanako looked around and adjusted her head to try and find out what it was she saw.
There. I think that's it. See? It looks kind of pink.
Violet narrowed her eyes, trying to see through the thick blades of grass.
Like a Jigglypuff?
Yeah, kind of. But it isn't as round.
Then, for the briefest moment, Violet thought she might have seen what it was Hanako saw. But it was gone the second her eyes found it, snaking off through the grass and out of sight.
Aw, it's gone.
Hanako moaned.
Did you see it?
I'm not sure. Maybe?
The pink-haired girl shrugged.
I wish I knew what it was.
Maybe it was just a ribbon or something.
Frowning, Hanako said,
You have trouble believing things, don't you?
What? No, I mean, I believe a lot of stuff. I believe the sky's above us, I believe you're here, and I believe that I'm hurt.
And I believe in fate, said a voice that was not either of the girls sitting in the grass. In fact, it wasn't a girl's voice at all. Oh, and I really should thank you, the voice said to Violet. You have a keen eye. Look what I caught. A Pokeball landed between Violet and Hanako, and out burst a Geodude. I call him Buldy. To be continued.